I love the way you make me feel.
The way that she makes me feel. I feel like I'm enough.
I really enjoy how you make me feel.
I'm gonna need guys to stop saying this because it's not as flattering as you think it is. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Queenie. For those who don't know me, reviewing Perfect Match Season 4, episodes 6 to 8, and a little bit of what's been happening after the show. Before I get into it, please make sure to like this video, subscribe, hit the bell, hype up the video, and leave a comment down below. If you've been here from Season 1, you remember me saying, oh, I will not be reviewing Season 2, and I didn't. I completely skipped that season, didn't even watch it. Season 3, I did it because Reality Recap, Unwell, they were like, hey, do the show, I did the show. Season 4, I was thinking, you know what, maybe there's some redemption. Absolutely not. If they happen to get a season 5, y'all not gonna see me. Y'all not gonna see me. I don't know if it's because now the people have been on the show before, especially Netflix shows, so they kind of know how things are supposed to go, or if it's because the structure of the show isn't really conducive for real relationships. I don't know what it is, but this show ain't seeing me again. It's not. It's not, but let's talk about a few things. I'll be so honest. This is less of a recap and more of let me talk about the things that I want to talk about. First thing, Danny, you're dirty. You dirty.
Guess the last time that I shampooed my hair. It might gross you out a little bit, but
Like 2 weeks ago?
it's been close to like a year and a half.
What do you mean you ain't washed your hair in almost a year or over a year? Wasn't it over a year? And then I saw a live that Marissa was doing. This was like last night. Marissa did a live with Allison and Jimmy, new Jimmy. And they were saying, yeah, one of the guys had bad breath like all the time. And it was this guy, the guy who doesn't wash his hair. How many times do you shower? Lord. Danny, you dirty. Next, Cassie is annoyed with Jimmy. She says that he was breadcrumbing her.
Because you know that Allie kissed Dave.
You asked for the kiss.
No. Why ask me all these serious questions? I feel like you already knew. Tell me if I'm wrong.
I didn't know I was gonna pick Allie.
I believe he always had the plan to go back to Allie, so I do agree with Cassie on that. I'm concerned why Cassie even took Jimmy seriously at all. I also think it's weird to put her on a show with people who are so much older and in a different space. Not to say she's not looking for something serious. Apparently she was one of the people who were really, you know, on the show for genuine reasons. I just think it's weird casting. Like, have people in similar demographics, age-wise, location-wise, all of that. That helps in the success of these relationships. So to have somebody who's 24 and then Dave, who's I think 38, all on the same show is kind of weird. And even Cassie and Jimmy, it's weird to me. To me, the person who doesn't like really big age gaps, I think it gets kind of murky. Yeah, that's my thought on that. She also did not like the fact that the show depicted her as a sex-crazed woman. Personally, I didn't get that impression, but I can see how she didn't like the edit too much. I guess because she wasn't giving the drama that she gave from Love Island, they found a way to kind of pivot to make it seem like she's still messy. But yeah, she wasn't really a fan of that, and I don't blame her. What else do I want to talk about? Bri and Damari. So they addressed their relationship. What I'm gathering is that she believes she was more invested in the relationship than he was. And this is further emphasized by the fact that she was still trying to give the relationship a try while grieving her grandmother. This is the time that he chose to break up with her, and she did not take kindly to that.
You know we're not cool, so don't act like we're cool.
I was wrong to try to give you a hug immediately.
I brought your gifts for Christmas, Valentine's Day. I came out to see you, and when I showed up, you broke up with me, talking to bitches in my face.
I had conversations for sure. I've told you and meant that I loved you.
You were in love with blah, 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 blah.
I felt like
buried my grandmother, and you literally broke up with me.
even before your grandmother died, we were having these same issues. I told you
I would have-
3 weeks prior that I was not happy.
I can see why they have problems with each other. I think there were issues on both sides. So Damari likes to pride himself on being this like calm, cool, and collected guy, but sometimes you have a tendency of like stonewalling people when you are that kind of person. Like, oh yeah, I don't business with drama. I don't. Sometimes when somebody's just pleading for you to hear them out, you don't do that because you're just not here for the drama, or you don't want to, you know, agitate a situation that obviously isn't going well and stuff like that. It can lead to bad communication, which is a theme that we see with Damari. I do think it was unfortunate the timing that he wanted to break up with Bri, having just buried her grandmother. That is obviously a very sensitive time for her. But then I also think in life, we're often going through something at some point. So I'm just like, if the relationship had to end, it had to end. And it sucks that it happened around that time. But if that's the time when things were bad, then maybe that's the time that it needed to end. Because say they would have kept it on, then it's like, okay, well, why didn't you just give me that time so I can just grieve my grandmother instead of you making me think that I have this loving, supportive partner when really you were planning to break up with me the whole time. So I think he was damned if he didn't, damned if he didn't. He did say that things were going wrong well before her grandmother passed, so he could have ended things then. His excuse was that he didn't want to break up with her like over the phone. He wanted to make sure it was done in person. I don't know. It's just rough. And then with Brie, I'm sure watching back, she can see it in herself. She is, she likes to dig them claws. And I could see why somebody would be like, yeah, I don't want to deal with this. Damari said, if I look at the relationship that I want, it's not with somebody who speaks to me the way that Brie speaks to me. And we see a little bit of that. We get a glimpse of that in their conversation. Apparently this conversation was like hours and hours long, and they even had a longer conversation after the cameras wrapped. So of course we're seeing a condensed version. I'm sure it was intense, but we are missing a lot of context. But from what we can see, I can see why things didn't work on both of their sides. I said briefly that Damari has this pattern of miscommunication. He had that with Brie, he has that with Marissa, and a part of me is thinking, so at what point are we gonna acknowledge this as a pattern? He says he has a tendency to be with women who are feisty. He literally says Marissa is combative and something else. What did he say? Combative and defensive, but you stick around. You cite the relationship with Brie as having the same issues, and you be sticking around for that too. So I'm just like, I do understand that the women have things that they need to work on, and both women off the show have admitted to that. They're not proud of the way that they came across on the show and the things that they were dealing with at the time. But Damari, if this is always what you attract, and he's gonna say like, oh, it's because I'm calm, like chaotic girls like the calm guy, I'm looking at you too. The girls need to unpack their stuff, but you too. You like this. You like the drama. You like a little bit of unhingedness when it comes to your relationships. I don't know what it does for you, but it does enough for you to want to stay. We see a moment between old Jimmy and Allie. He's jealous over Allie and Hashim kissing multiple times when the singles mixer was happening. And I'm just here like, Jimmy, please, like, put it to rest. You literally told this girl the next day after you guys had sex that you're open and you could do whatever you want because you probably planned on doing whatever you wanted. But again, the options weren't optioning the way that Jimmy thought they would. But Allie took him up on the offer, and now he's upset.
Did you kiss anyone?
No.
What?
Did you?
Yeah.
How many times?
I don't know.
As much as I wanted to be open, I'm catching some feelings, and it just, kind of scares me. I'm a little hurt you kissed somebody.
Jimmy says he's realizing now that the feelings are bigger than what he thought. And that's why he's feeling away. He's like, yeah, I'm not going to fault you for doing you because we agreed that, you could do whatever you want. But it does hurt me a bit that you were so quick to explore with somebody else. You gave her the green light to do so. She didn't want to. Well, she said she didn't want to. I don't know how far true that was. I feel like Allie contradicts herself a lot. But like, you gave her the green light to do that. So I'm confused. This is why I cannot stand the antics in the dating realm right now. Oftentimes the same generation that's complaining that, oh, we don't have real lovers out here, people aren't communicative, people aren't open enough, people aren't vulnerable, people don't want to take the risk. When you're given the opportunity to do that, you want to lie and play games and be deceptive and say things that you obviously don't mean. If you don't want the girl to express that in a way that doesn't come across as possessive or setting unrealistic boundaries, like there's a way to navigate dating and still be true to yourself without having to do the games that we're obviously not happy with because everybody's complaining about it. These two are the epitome of that. Jimmy and Allie were doing things that they did not want to do, seemingly, after they got an undesired result. And it's like, why not stay true to your feelings? Why not do the thing you actually want to do? Because at the end of the day, if things don't work out, yes, it's unfortunate. Yes, it sucks. At least you can say you've been true to yourself. The last significant thing that happened before the finale was Damari and Marissa's argument. My God. I saw Marissa talk about this before I actually got to see the scene, and she was like, I'm not even watching the show because I know I came across crazy, but I'm not supporting my behavior. I think that I was in a dark place. I don't think that that's how you should navigate relationships. And I'm glad she said that because when I'm talking about Marissa, I often get the commentary that I just don't understand her, that I'm being too harsh and she's just a lover girl and I just don't get it. If anybody understands being a lover girl, I promise you it's me. If you know my story on how I got married, I'm a lover girl just like Marissa. But we can also acknowledge that some of the decisions she makes aren't good decisions. She is aware of that. You see it on screen.
Also, yes, I look amazing. Thank you.
You
I'm
just started
defensive.
nagging
Go
at
ahead.
me
I'm not gonna say
immediately.
shit. Go and do that.
First of all, calm down.
He's like, how much grace do you want? I'm like, dude, I'm trying. He knows you have ADHD, right?
It's something underlying here.
I
okay?
have ADHD and I interrupt someone.
I don't like being spoken to like that.
You're allowed to be upset, but honestly, like, I just need you to not. Whatever, I just don't need you to be upset.
That has to sound wild in your head. I'm a little hot now. I'm not gonna lie.
I shouldn't have to sit here for 2 hours and have an argument with you.
You don't have to, okay?
You damn right. I
Cool,
do
call
not
it.
have to do nothing.
Call it.
Sometimes you can have an undeniable connection with somebody and things just don't work out. I understand wanting to address it, maybe address it once or twice, but at the third time, when you're experiencing the same things over and over again, you just have to admit that compatibility is not there. It's just not working. He doesn't like her temperament. She doesn't like his dismissiveness. It's just not going to work. And then I personally do not like the fact that I believe Marissa weaponizes her ADHD. And it's a hard thing for me to say because I do know it shows up differently in different people, but I have so many people. My two best friends have ADHD. My brother has ADHD, and I'm convinced my husband has it too. He just hasn't been diagnosed. I'm aware that it shows up differently in different people, but I've also seen people have it and find ways to manage it or navigate around it. You know what I'm saying? But Marissa uses it as a crutch on this show. I don't know if she does that in real life, but on this show, she uses it as a crutch. And it could be the fact that a lot of the decisions that people make on the show are alcohol induced. So she has to find some kind of rationale to explain why she's responding the way that she is. ADHD obviously has a part to do with it, but another big part is unhealthy attachments in relationships. The way that she responds in relationships oftentimes comes across as unhealthy. It was like that on Love is Blind. It sounds like it was like that with her relationship before coming on Perfect Match because allegedly she left the guy for the purpose of coming on the show. Then we see it on the show. And then shortly after she was with somebody else. So it's like, I do understand that ADHD plays a part, but also we have to admit when we have unhealthy behavior that shows up in relationships. But like I said, it's also Damari. You've said time and time again, if we're going to argue like this, I don't understand why we should even fight for this relationship. I'm sure he was clipped because I've seen that exact statement that he said like 3 times. So I don't know when he said that, but a part of him already knows that his relationship with Marissa just wasn't going well. But because these people are on this show, they want to stay for as long as possible. They want notoriety coming off the show. Everybody who goes on TV, this is not me coming for them specifically. Everybody who goes on television, everybody who makes their presence known on social media wants some level of notoriety, myself included. We can be honest about that. So that is a big incentive why people stick in these things longer than they should. But yeah, I'm also looking at Damari. It's not just Marissa. It's not just Brie. It's Damari as well. But moving on to the finale, child. I'm skipping the last dates. Don't really care about those. On to the last remarks. Kayla wishes that she was still with Chris, and she's annoyed that people voted her fake. However, some people have some things to say about her fakeness.
My boobs are fake, but I'm not. Who I think I should be sitting here with today is Chris.
You guys were messaging outside of this.
Okay, I can't text somebody?
We were messaging on Spotify with each other.
I told her that.
Okay, nice. Was there a plan?
No, there was no plan.
Everybody's Spotify privileges were revoked because who thinks to message on Spotify? But anyways, child, yeah, it does seem like she's kind of fake or that their connection was fake. Let me say that. I would have stayed quiet on this one, Kayla. I think it would have been okay to be like, yeah, I do like the guy. I want us to be together and just leave it at that. Don't now comfort the house for making a poor decision when the house was so quick to show you the mirror and prove that they were justified in saying what they said. Moving on, Allison is in the mix with the drama because she and Jimmy were exposed for having an agreement to stick together so that they could win the show. That's going to be the reason why some people don't want to vote for them, because we want to vote for something genuine, or at least as genuine as you can get on Perfect Match. So if you already had a pact, I'm not voting for you. Then we have old Jimmy and Allie who found their way back together, but Cassie, she got some things to say about this relationship. The man was foaming at the mouth when he was in Cassie's vicinity. The man said he would fight tooth and nail to get a second date with her if he was on the outside, and then you just chose Allie. Allie, the same woman who you find a new reason every day to not like, to not want to pursue a relationship with. All of a sudden, she's the best match for you out of everybody in the house. Please. Please, be so for real. Then we have Hashim. Whoo. Hashim was coupled up with Allie just 24 hours ago, and he exposes her for her escapades in the night.
Just bro code. Me and Allie, we're like physically intimate. You guys just need to have a conversation.
If all you did was kid.
So do more. It's really quick. Instructions like for literally 10 seconds. There's literally 10 seconds. We're open.
Ciao. Your body, your choice. It's not looking too good though. If you're crying about one guy one day, making out with another guy the next day, sucking this thing, whether it's 10 seconds or I don't know. And then the next day you with the other guy that you were crying about the first day. A lot of alcohol was involved with Allie. She does admit that. She says even when she was torn the night that she had to pick between Hashim and Jimmy, her decisions were clouded by the liquor. And that goes into a larger conversation on why these shows feel like they need to pump everybody with liquor in order to get drama. Maybe then ethically there's something wrong with your show if that's what you need to do to get entertainment. But then also, they cannot force you to drink. They make it readily available. So you consuming it is up to you, and maybe it's up to you to like decide for yourself why it is that you want to drink that. But I don't know. There's a lot going on. We know the reality shows are unethical at the core, so I'm just going to leave that there. Moving on. Damari says that he's happy with the journey that he had with Marissa. BS.
We were tested with our communication.
From day one till the end, every single test that you could have, and we were able to communicate through those. Couldn't say like better things about Marissa.
Me and Damari did have some unresolved stuff. He told me he still loves me. So to me, that's like weird.
Anyways, when he was talking about Marissa, he almost said Bree. Freudian slip? This man was frustrated day in and day out dealing with Marissa. I don't think that he did not like her, but I think enough of him did not like her behavior. So he's just saying whatever sounds good, but he did not want a relationship with this girl. If they were to actually give things a try on the outside, it would have been a shitstorm. The relationship would have gone to hell in a handbasket quickly. Anyways, last we have Yemen. Why is this man acting like he about to cry?
Her aura is so radiant, and no, and I'm trying. Really do like this woman a lot. So
almost the entire time
holding it.
Yemen. Don't. Anyways, Dave and Sophie won. It sounds like a shock if you didn't watch the show, but if you do watch it, I guess you can see how they came to that conclusion. They do seem like the most genuine couple in terms of actually enjoying each other's presence, actually just seeing what happens between their couple and not sticking together for the sake of the game or what. Like, it seems the most genuine, quote unquote, than whatever else we're seeing on the show. So fine. When the show closes, we see that they actually did go to the Maldives. They broke up because of the distance, and then some other stuff happened too with some other couples.
Plot twist. Yeah. Chris got me that for Christmas.
I think we're really happy. I mean, that's all I have to say.
The whole cast knew besides us.
So let's get into what happened post the show, okay? We're gonna start with what AD said on her podcast because a lot of people didn't know what side to be on, and I do agree. I think that it is murky because the show takes so long to put the show out. They filmed the show way in advance. So much life is happening. So it's going to be hard for certain people to hide their relationship, right? But AD in this clip is going to say that it is so unfair that she got so much flack for her relationship being exposed when people like Yemen and Bree have been flaunting, seemingly, their relationship online. Bree, not so much. I also think that they were outed. Whereas Yemen went on to a whole other show and has been prancing around with Whitney unashamedly, without any shame. Okay, so I kind of side with AD on this one.
We need to all keep the same energy about
who is ruining the show and who's giving spoilers, because everybody was so mad that Ollie and I were out publicly before the show came out. Like, they're like, we're not going to watch it. We already know. And I'm sorry, there's two people on this show that are in open relationships right now.
Wait, who?
Out relationships right now. Yamin is one. He's with Whitney from like Love Island UK or something.
Did they do Love Island together?
Yeah.
After Perfect Match?
Yeah. How do I say it? Okay, he's dating Whitney.
Okay.
Whitney's ex was also on Love Island.
Okay.
Her ex is on this her ex's new girlfriend is on this season of Perfect Match.
Who?
Brie. I mean, I can't say too much.
This is just,
I was
annoying.
like engaged and pregnant by the time the show came out.
But that was like a different situation.
Yeah.
You were like literally with a child.
I had to say something or somebody was going to see my belly anyway.
Yeah.
No, but it is very funny.
It's just like, I don't get it. Like, they shouldn't be allowed to like do all these shows after so quickly.
Give it a beat. Because how many shows did Louis do after? Like 4 shows.
I don't know.
Before our season came out.
Every show on the planet.
You can tell that Perfect Match is trying their hardest to be like Love Island, or at least to have that kind of lightning in the bottle experience that Love Island has been having, especially the last 2 seasons. You're gonna have to change it up. You're gonna have to make the age bracket closer. You're going to have to elongate the process. You're going to have to cut off communication to the outside. That's gonna be a big thing. If you're really trying to compete with Love Island, you got a lot of work to do. And if you're trying to avoid people exposing the show, you gotta pump it out quicker. Anyways, moving on to who is and who isn't together. I'll be so honest, I didn't pay attention to everybody. I'm only gonna talk about the people who I'm aware of, and then I'm gonna let Storytime with Ricky give you the rest of the updates. Obviously, Brie is with Lock-In. That one is not a surprise to anybody because they were exposed by the Shade Borough, and then she went on a podcast and she confirmed it as well. And then he would be in her posts, she would be in his posts, and all kinds of stuff. They did Locked In Kitchen together. So yeah, I think they're a cute couple. I do. It seems like they're a good match. We don't really see much of them. And honestly, that's probably for the best. Especially considering that both of them have had some fiery breakups. Some very public breakups. I think it's best that they keep their relationship private. Obviously not a secret, but let's try to keep it private. A couple that's not so private is Yamin and Whitney. Like I said earlier, Yamin went on to Love Island All Stars, so we all saw him get into the relationship with Whitney. Since coming off the show, they were very, very public, very present online. I think he was told to tone it down, because for the last few weeks, he hadn't been posting her too much, but just yesterday, they both popped out again, and I was gagged. The pictures were beautiful. I wasn't gagged because they're still together. I actually do think they're well suited. I said that while watching Love Island All Stars. I just don't like, number one, that it seems like Yamin is opportunistic, which is something that some other people were saying. I'll get into that in a second. And then Whitney does and says things that are unsavory to a lot of people outside the show. I think she's great television. I think she's a stunning babe. I think they're a sickening couple. I'm so glad he cut off that hair. Oh, so glad. So glad. But I can see why people are rubbed the wrong way by Yamin and also by Whitney for separate reasons, but also now them and their relationship. But I think that they're cute. Allison had some things to say about Yamin though. She feels like he's a clout chaser. Like I said, anybody who's making their presence known on any kind of platform has some level of clout chasiness, but people are really clocking it with Yamin.
I don't mean to sound mean when I say this, but like, I just didn't really think there was much substance to build off there with him. And he was so dismissive of literally everything that I would say and do. Like, I had really bad anxiety this one day. They were rushing me like crazy. It was like the first day that we had to do anything. I think most girls probably wouldn't love that. Like, you want to look good and feel confident.
Right.
You're one of your first appearances on a show. You got a million cameras in your face. Like, I'm not rolling out of there with no makeup on.
No.
I don't know what I want to wear.
Yeah.
Not day one. And he like made fun of me for having anxiety and was really rude and dismissive. He told me I talk too much and that I'm annoying. He like made fun of me when I was giving him the criteria of what I want in a man. So like behind closed doors, I just thought he was very honestly self-centered, and he seemed like he was there to just like get his bag and get some more clout and like do his big one. And then he's so performative in front of the camera, just presenting himself like he's this phenomenal guy. I think genuinely he was putting on an act the entire time. I don't think he gave a fuck about anybody.
From the time the man was on Temptation Island, I was like, what's going on here? And then when we saw him on Love Island and then coming off of Love Island, this is All Stars now, I was like, yeah, I don't know. The guy gives like, I want my career to be reality TV. And that's fine. But let's be honest about that. I don't know if it was Allison, but somebody was like, oh yeah, I begged to be on the show. I really wanted to be on the show and I did everything I could to get on the show. I like that kind of honesty. Whereas Yemen, like we saw on the freaking finale, the man is, oh, I'm choked up. I'm almost brought to tears. No, you're not. And I think a lot of people are going to find it hard to resonate with him because he doesn't come across as somebody who is genuine. So all the best in his relationship. I actually do think that they're well suited. I think that they balance each other very well. Again, sickening couple, both stunning human beings. I just can understand why a lot of people don't really take to them very well. Then last, Marissa is married.
So actually we dated back in 2013 and we fell in love like super fast. I was like, this is my guy, I'm gonna marry him forever. And I was in college my senior year still, and he was in Virginia. And so I was in Georgia, he was in Virginia. The distance didn't really work for us, so we broke up. And I always was like, he was like my what if. And I hate to say it, but even like with Ramses, I was like, when I got engaged to Ramses, he was one of my first thoughts. Was like,
Really?
what's Dre gonna think? Because he was someone that I we always connected over the years. And anytime I was single, he would, want to try to get back together. We would try, and it just never really worked out. He's in the military, so we just never really got to live in the same place at the same time. So after Perfect Match, we connected, of course, and I was single, and he was like, oh, come out to Japan. That's where he lives and he's stationed. And I was like, all right, like I have actually, like the timing just kind of worked out. And I was like, well, I'm only coming out to Japan if we're like really going to take this seriously. And he's like, I've been trying to take this seriously for the past 13 years and you won't get with me. So we finally just said, let's do it. And I spent a couple months out there, and all our family and friends were not really shocked. They were like, it makes sense, about time that you guys stop playing around. And so we decided, let's get married in March. So we decided to get married in like January, February, but got engaged in February. And then March came and we had a small ceremony with our family.
She's gonna say this man has been in and out of her life over the last, I think it was 10 years or something like that. Whenever they're single, they get together. So what it's sounding like to me is every other guy in between him never stood a chance. You always had eyes for this guy. It just didn't work out for whatever reason. And now you're married. Congratulations. But it's like side eye, side eye, side eye. The side eye in part comes from the time. But like I said in my YouTube short, I should be the last person to judge because, again, met and married in 10 months. So who am I, It's the story. The story kind of makes it like, well, Marissa, so we need to unpack the way that you show up in a relationship. Well, it doesn't matter now. You married, girl. Moving on. Storytime with Ricky is going to touch on the rest of the relationships, and then we're going to end the video. I chopped these up just to give you the gist of what's going on with each couple, but if you want the full breakdown from Ricky, go on her TikTok, Storytime with Ricky, or the Reality Receipts podcast. I think they spoke about it on there too. And Tadoom has the articles on where everybody is now.
Tatum just released the Where Are They Now? And in a nutshell, nobody together, bitch. Not even Dave and Sophie, not even the winners. Basically, the two of them said that they split because of distance. Like, obviously, they live super far from each other. They said, unfortunately, there is a whole wide ocean in between us. Sophie tells Tatum lack of communication and effort resulted in us having a conversation to just remain friends. Dave confirms that communication quickly became difficult because of the time difference. Even though the romantic aspect of their relationship didn't last, both remain grateful for their strong connection, which Dave says blindsided him. Everything just fell into place. For Sophie, their bond taught her an important lesson that she's now carrying into her dating life. It showed me that when you feel comfortable and safe with a person, your true, authentic self shines. Now you know they're not together, child. Like, Allie goes on and says it's crazy how much everything changed after the show, and she doesn't just mean in her chaotic coupling with Jimmy. Once the two returned from filming The Perfect Match, Jimmy did visit Allie a few times in Los Angeles, met all her friends, and even FaceTimed her every night, but eventually they both realized they weren't in a place to commit. He had just moved to Miami, and remember, he's fresh out of the glow up. She talking about his hair transplant, y'all. I wasn't ready to really date either. I feel like it was one of those things where we knew, but we didn't want to admit it, and we did like each other. Though they both decided they needed to be single, Allie says the way they approach singledom has been very different. Ultimately, he just started to move weird, she says, and eventually messiness ensued. I'm like, girl, you was the queen of messiness in the villa, outside the villa. I think y'all probably approach singledom the same way. Ari says that the next person he dates, he wants to be his wife. I am much more intentional about evaluating partners as such. He points out that in the past, he's dated women who struggle with how much attention he attracts. You date bad bitches, so they attract even more attention, I'm sure. But okay. And now that's a deal breaker. You have to understand and support my life. So Jimmy and Allison think that they slick because they talking about they're figuring things out. When a little birdie told me that they broke up a week after filming. Now all of a sudden that you see that the audience loves y'all figuring things out. Suspicious. It says, according to both, they continued their relationship with Jimmy visiting her in Los Angeles, meeting her friends, and even celebrating Thanksgiving with her. Eventually, though, the two took a time out. We ended up pausing things for a bit with on and off communication because he had a difficult time adjusting back to real life post-filming, she shares. Jimmy confirms, explaining, I think the post-villa depression was getting to me a little bit, so I went back to Chicago to be around family. That led to a little hiatus for us. And now, Yaman and Natalie, y'all wasn't real to begin with. We knew they wasn't together. If you just missed my tea video on what went down between them, check it out. But they didn't date after the show. They didn't continue to date. He's now publicly in a relationship with Whitney. At the end of The Perfect Match, we've seen that she was in a relationship with Chris from the show, but she is no longer in a relationship with Chris. They dated for about 3-4 months and then broke up because Chris allegedly cheated on her with Kayla. After the credits roll, we find out that Chris and Natalie are now in a relationship, and he bought her a Chanel bag. I know that's right. Get your paper, sis. Anywho, the credits also show Kayla saying how she was the last one to find out about this and that there was some overlap when she was still talking to Chris and when Natalie was still talking to Yaman. But I am hearing a different tune. First of all, a little birdie told me that Natalie and Yaman didn't even hang out for 2.5 seconds after filming went down. Actually, they never saw each other, that he wanted to be chased. He said him the bad bitch, okay? So allegedly, he invited her out 1 to 2 weeks after the show wrapped, and she didn't end up going. She broke it off because she said that it felt forced. It felt like it was friend vibes, and apparently Yaman went the fuck off on her. Now, Allison has already exposed Yaman. She said he's a fake ass bitch, that he thinks he's a bad bitch, that, you know, he's very arrogant and full of himself. That's what she said, not me. But apparently, Yaman went off on Natalie and told her that she's making a huge mistake and that they could have made millions of dollars together. Millions of dollars is a really wild statement because, bro, what do you think this is? Obviously, that's not a great sign to say, hey, we should have stayed together because, you know, we can make millions of dollars. So basically, Yaman is a not genuine ass bitch. And there was no overlap between Chris and Natalie and Yaman and Natalie because this was never a thing. Apparently, Yaman was just looking for a little social media relationship, which he just currently posted his girlfriend that Love Island with today. Apparently, this was never a thing either. Kayla ghosted Chris after filming, and apparently she had a man the whole time. Now, we did hear Mackenzie call her out about messaging him on Spotify and also being in a relationship during filming. After the credits rolled, we also seen Kayla kind of reveal oh, she didn't know that Natalie and Chris were dating, that she was the last one to know. She was the first one to know. And she told the entire cast in a group chat that Natalie and Chris were dating. But why the fuck would it matter if Natalie and Chris are dating? If you ghosted Chris, that means that you didn't motherfucking want Chris and you had your own man. So why the hell would it matter? Not your pig, not your farm. And apparently you had a boo named Alex, I believe. Anywho, back to this, back to cheating. So Natalie and Chris dated for about 4 months. They were super serious, saying I love you to each other. And then when he went out to LA for his show of Attraction, he hooked up with Kayla and cheated on Natalie. And also Kayla cheated on her man because she apparently had a man at the same time. And allegedly, these two are like gonna be trying to come out as like some social media couple now, like, or like they're together, but it's fake. That's just what a little birdie told me.
So that's it, y'all. Perfect Match season 4. How did you guys feel? Because I'm leaving it feeling meh. I'm leaving it feeling kind of meh, but it is what it is. Perfect Match is just not a great show. Sometimes they'll have great people, but the structure, it just doesn't work. They need to revamp it or just scrap it and start a whole different show completely. I don't know what they can do to revive the show, but this is going to be the last time you see me reviewing Perfect Match, which is fine with me. Love Island is about to start anyways. I'm going to do a cast reaction probably tomorrow. And then come next week, we're ready to roll, baby. US and UK airing at the same time. Have grace. Y'all know how it goes over here. I'm going to try my best to keep up to date with everything. But yeah, I'm excited for that. Let's leave Perfect Match. I'm not even going to do Keeping Up with the Drama. I don't care. I surely do not. Not for now, at least. But if something juicy comes, I'm going to be back. Anyways, as always, like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one.